Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom channel and our ongoing series in nutritional health and well-being. It's my honor to have back with me, I believe, the top naturopathic physician in our country and, in my estimation, the world, Dr. Peter Glidden. You know, this is about the 16th in our series. You can find all of our videos at the following two locations: OperationFreedomHealth.com and DaveJanda.com. Go to DaveJanda.com, bottom of the page. We have the entire Dr. Peter Glidden series. We have the same at OperationFreedomHealth.com. In addition, so many people say, okay, so you've described the situation, but now what do I do? And I need to have an action plan, and I need to have products to address these issues. So that's what we've done on OperationFreedomHealth.com. It's an information site, but it also has the links to the products that we discuss on our platform. Full disclosure, purchase of the products does support this platform so that we can continue our work in presenting these videos and the other videos we do on the channel. Little background on Peter, so you have a background. Peter attended Williams College, obtained his Bachelor of Science degree in pre-medical studies at the University of Massachusetts, then obtained his naturopathic medicine degree from the great Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington. Peter is currently a member of the American Association of Naturopathic Physicians. He is currently in private practice of naturopathic medicine, has been licensed to practice naturopathic medicine since 1992. Peter wears many hats. He's a Renaissance man. In fact, if you look at our previous videos, a number of Peter's patients actually comment on how he had a huge positive impact on their lives, their health, their nutrition, and their overall wellness. But in addition to his great clinical work, Peter is a great author. And I encourage you to go to Amazon, where the books are located. You can purchase them. They're the foundation of our library in the Janda household. Everybody is sick, and I know why. And Attempt a Cure with Holistic Medicine. I assure you, the information in those books, I didn't learn in medical school, because it is a completely different approach in what I learned in medical school. And in fact, my training on nutritional health and well-being has come at the hands of Peter Glidden. And as Peter will attest, I fought him a little bit on it when I was kind of dealing with some arthritis issues, and Peter kept telling me what to do, and I kept going the way I had been trained, more anti-inflammatories, more anti-inflammatories. And Peter kept saying, okay, you're addressing the symptoms, Dave, but guess what? You're not addressing the problem. And then I finally took Peter's advice, started nutrifying my body with the 90 essential nutrients, and lo and behold, Peter was proven right. Now it's proven wrong. I ended up off all anti-inflammatories, and I'm essentially symptom-free at this point. So, and I've discussed this before, but the purpose of what we try to do is educate and empower you when it comes to your health and wellness. And that's the beauty of Peter's books as well. They do the same. They empower you. They don't empower a pharmaceutical company or the medical industrial complex or the insurance industry or the gatekeeper that's in charge of rationing care. They empower you. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Glidden. Peter, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Health platform.
Dave, thanks so much. It's always a pleasure for me to be here with you and get this word out. You know, it's interesting. History doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes, right? And if the story's true, not everybody who had the chance got on Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah, true.
More is the pity. The same thing happens now. We have been underneath a medical monopoly for 107 years. And people just don't understand that there are alternatives, quote unquote, to conventional medicine. And conventional medicine is fantastic for trauma care, surgery when it's necessary. That's really, really great stuff. And that's where really all the advances in medicine have been made in the surgical arena and diagnostic discovery in the last 100 years. But, you know, for chronic illness, people are getting worse.
Yeah, they
are. The leading cause of death in the United States and the leading cause of bankruptcy is conventional medical treatments. Our life expectancy is getting shorter. We pay more for medical care in the United States and any other country, and we're 42nd in the world for treatment outcomes. It's inside out, upside down, and backwards. And the reason that this exists is because of the sway on the industry by the immense wealth and political persuasion of the pharmaceutical industry. And it's important that people understand, thank God for insulin and Novocaine, but there's a limit to what drugs and surgery will do. And there's a great deal of promise in other systems of medicine, which, by the way, are science-based, clinically verified, licensed, and regulated. But most people in the world have no idea whatsoever. That most people don't even know how to pronounce naturopathy, let alone know what naturopathic medicine is or what it can do. So it's a privilege for me to be on a platform such as this, to be able to speak the truth to everyone who has ears to hear.
Peter, we get a lot of feedback from our listeners, and a lot of our listeners have asked that we address the issue of thyroid health and well-being. So let's start with the thyroid, what it does, and what are the symptoms if it's running too hot or running too cold.
Yeah. All right. So the thyroid gland exists in your throat. It's right under your Adam's apple. And historically, there was an epidemic condition in the United States called goiter. Because when your thyroid gland becomes unhealthy, when it's under-nutrified, interestingly enough, it will swell up. And there was an epidemic of goiter in the early 1900s in the United States. There was actually something called the goiter belt in the United States, where there was a massive amount of people who had swollen thyroid glands. And this is the one, as far as I know, this is the only time in the medical history of the United States that the mainstream medicine got it right. There were two things that mainstream medicine could do. They could have subsidized thyroid surgery, right? And surgically removed everything at pennies on the dollar, but they decided not to. What they did in order to fix the problem was put iodine in the salt. That's the whole reason iodized salt even exists.
Right.
To deal with this epidemic of swollen thyroid glands. And it worked. Interestingly enough, the thyroid gland regulates the metabolism of every cell in the human body, right? And people don't really think about this much, but all of the cells in your body, it doesn't matter if it's a skin cell, a bone cell, an eye cell, a brain cell, doesn't matter. Cells are like little engines. They take in energy, they produce work, they excrete things that are helpful to the body, and then there's waste products that the body removes. But they're like little engines, right?
Right.
Just like any other engine, there are different speeds that the engine can work at. The thyroid gland regulates the speed at which every cell in the body works. It's really important to have a healthy, functioning thyroid gland. Now, metabolically, nutritionally, the thyroid is the only structure, the only thing in the body that absorbs and uses iodine. So iodine, being an essential nutrient, the body can't make it, is very important for overall thyroid health. So you have to be getting adequate amounts of iodine in the body every day, number one. Number two, there's an amino acid called tyrosine. And the body uses iodine and tyrosine to make two very interesting biochemicals, which scientists in their remarkable imaginations have named thyroid hormone 3 and thyroid hormone 4, T3 and T4. So the thyroid gland secretes T3 and T4. Interestingly, about 80% of the production is T4 and 20% is T3, but T3 is 4 times stronger than T4.
Okay.
So it's interesting. Now, but the body needs both.
Right.
And when the body converts T3 into T4, or T4 into T3, there's a mineral that's necessary, and if you don't have it, that conversion isn't going to take place, and that mineral is selenium. So in holistic medicine, we talk about the balance, right?
Right.
Everything needs to be in nice working balance. So in order for the thyroid to function the way that nature and God intended it, you need adequate amounts of iodine and adequate amounts of tyrosine and enough selenium so that the body can convert T4 into T3. And when you have all those things in place, then the thyroid gland is working at maximum capacity and everybody's happy. Now, when conventional medical doctors intervene with somebody who has a problem with their thyroid, and most of the problems that people have are an underactive thyroid.
Okay.
You have an underactive thyroid, you eat one piece of popcorn and you gain 5 pounds. You're cold all the time, especially your fingers and your toes. You're much colder than the next person sitting right next to you. Your metabolism is sluggish. You're moody. You don't have a whole lot of, your get up and go, got up and left, right?
Right.
Problems with energy and just being able to get through the day. This is a problem. So when medical doctors intervene, right, no training, no experience, no respect in medical nutrition, they just give drugs.
Right.
Now, the leading drug of choice, and always has been for thyroid, is something called levothyroxine.
Mm-hmm.
Levothyroxine is just T4. That's all that it is.
Okay.
Because remember, conventional medical doctors are trained in reductionism.
Yeah, right. Correct.
Not trained in holism, so we're just going to give T4. Keep your fingers crossed and see what happens. But remember, the body needs T4 and T3.
Right.
The body can make T3 from T4 if it has selenium.
But if it doesn't, it ain't going to happen. It can't do it.
That's right. So if anybody in the listening audience is currently taking levothyroxine or, an analog of levothyroxine, once you start our program, you're going to see the drug work better. And this is an interesting thing to talk about.
So Peter, wait. So if let's say somebody's hypothyroid and their doctor gives them levothyroxine and they're taking the medication and then they start the supplements, the 90 nutritional supplements and then the selenium, which now has the substrate to drive the reaction quicker. So could they turn from being from hypothyroid to now they're doing better because they're on the medication and then they take the stuff into being hyperthyroid?
And this can't just happen for thyroid medication. It can happen for any medication.
Okay.
Because when you take a pharmaceutical into your body, it messes with the metabolism of your body.
Okay.
Pushes it this way, suppresses it over here. But look, the metabolism of your body that the drug is interacting with is made from vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids. So the longer that you are under the influence of a pharmaceutical, the less essential nutrients are present in your body because the drug is burning through them.
Right.
It's like stepping on the gas on a race car. You're going to go through the gas in the tank, the oil in the engine faster. This is why over time, the blood pressure medicine stops working. It doesn't work as good as it did the first 2 years you took it. So the dose needs to be increased. Or they need to add a second or a different type of blood pressure.
And this is what happened with me with my arthritis.
Yeah, the drugs just stop working. Oh, you've habituated to it. What the heck does that mean?
Yeah, right. Your body's
what it means is you just ran out of the raw materials that your body needed to make the drug work.
And you've talked about this. So this isn't specific for thyroid. You've talked about this in other videos when it comes to other conditions in taking medications, because we actually talked about this on the arthritis thing with me. So if you're on a thyroid medication and you start taking the nutritional supplements, you're giving them more substrates for the reactions to work, to drive the right stuff, to drive the engine. So folks need to, one, follow through with their treating physician, let them know what they're taking, but they also they hopefully will see because the goal here would be to get off the pharmaceutical agent as they become more nutrified, but that's not something someone should do, I don't know, on their own.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, people just need to be aware of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to be aware of the risks and the benefits here. You just need to be mindful of the possibilities. So whatever drug you're taking, when you engage a medical nutrition program, especially if it's this medical nutrition program, which is extremely effective and power-packed, no kidding, this is a therapeutic intervention. If you are engaging with this program, it would be wise for you to do a little Google search about the drug or drugs that you are taking and look to see what an effect of taking too much of the drug is, right? Mm-hmm. An overdose of the medication is. Okay. Because now this doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while it happens, like maybe 10% of the time. I just made that number up. People are taking a drug, they start the medical nutrition program, and they get funny side effects. Most of the time, those funny side effects are due to an upregulation of the drug. It's as if you doubled or tripled the dose of the drug.
Got it.
Because the nutrients are making the drug work better.
Right. And you've talked about this before.
Yeah. And so people just need to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And if you're aware of it, then you can handle it. And the goal here, which is not always possible, but we have to strive towards something, is to get the body so healthy that you don't need to take the drug anymore.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's the goal. But we need to be mindful of this. Now, there's a little irony here, specifically when it comes to the thyroid.
Okay.
Because there's a feedback mechanism between three parts of the central nervous system, or the endocrine system: the thyroid gland, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus gland. These things work in concert, one with the other. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have an underactive thyroid, mm-hmm. probably because you're undernutrified, mm-hmm. your medical doctor doesn't know that and gives you a drug. The longer that you are under the influence of the drug, the weaker your thyroid becomes.
Because it's depleting the nutrients.
And the drug is providing to your body
the juice that the thyroid normally would have done.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you have a broken leg and your leg is in a cast for 6 months.
Exactly.
You take it off, the muscle's all shriveled up because you just haven't been using it anymore.
Right.
So the longer that someone is on a thyroid pharmaceutical medicine, the harder it is for them to stop that, because over time the thyroid just atrophies from underuse because it doesn't need to be active anymore because
the drug's doing it.
The drug's doing it, right? Okay. So it's interesting. We have to attempt to heal the situation, and we just look to see, and this is the same thing that we do with in any form of medicine. We start somewhere, we intervene, we see what happens, we adapt and change, and keep our fingers crossed the whole time.
So, Peter, how would you optimize thyroid health?
So, remember, this is a holistic medical paradigm.
Right.
And in holistic medicine, everything's connected.
Right.
So we don't just give iodine and tyrosine and selenium, right?
Although some people try that, right?
Most people try that. This is what most, integrative medical doctors do, or people who are trying to figure it out themselves on the internet.
And this is fractionated type of approach, correct?
Yeah, it's a juvenile.
So why doesn't that work? Okay, if my thyroid needs iodine, selenium, and I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to mess with all this other stuff. Why doesn't that work?
Well, because there are 88 other essential nutrients that the body also needs in order to make all that stuff work. I mean, if you had a problem with your car, mm-hmm. and you took it in, and all that you did was put air in the tires and the right gasoline in the tank, well, that's a good thing to do. Those are good things to do. But, what about the engine oil? What about the transmission fluid? What about the spark plugs? What about the computer? Mm-hmm. What about the power steering fluid? What about the radiator fluid? All this stuff. There's a bunch of moving parts here, and the body is an orchestra with all these different things. So in holistic medicine, and the reason that this approach produces such often remarkable results is because we honor that. Mm-hmm. We respect it. So what do? We're not trying to outwit nature. We're not trying to be smarter than God. The idea here is, look, the body knows how to fix itself, wants to fix itself, it's trying to fix itself. Rather than try to micromanage the biochemistry of the body, with pharmaceuticals, or high doses of fractionated nutrients. We don't do that. We give the body its due. Mm-hmm. We say, you know what? The body knows how to handle this. We're going to give it everything that it needs. And in the case of an underactive thyroid, a little extra thyroid support. Or if it's a bad joint, a little extra bone and joint support. Or if it's a bad heart, a little extra cardiovascular support or whatever. So this is the method. And it's the reason that we're often so very effective when other approaches aren't. It's really, from my point of view, and once people just learn this, mm-hmm. kind of nuts and bolts, it's like common sense. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the long and the short of it.
So action plan. First, for the 90 essential nutrients, what do folks do there for their foundation?
Healthy Body Start Pack.
Okay. Healthy Body Start Pack. That's on OperationFreedomHealth.com if folks are interested.
And 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals. So the Healthy Body Start Pack, 1 Healthy Body Start Pack, and 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals mm-hmm. gives you all 90 essential nutrients. Bada bing, bada boom. Now,
and
Peter, regulate thyroid function, right?
Wait, Peter, on that Healthy Body Start Pack, some folks have asked, well, can I start out? It says 2 scoops of each of these a day. Can I start out doing a half a scoop and build, then see how I feel, build to 1 scoop a day, build to then 2? Folks wanted to know if that approach is effective.
It's not only effective, it's a very smart approach.
Okay.
You know, and that's a smarter way to do it because, again, this stuff is potent. It's not dangerous, right, or harmful, but it's potent.
It's effective. It's effective.
Yeah, and it has strong and noticeable effects on the body, so not a bad idea to kind of wade into those waters, you know. Mm-hmm. Do like a third of the dose for a couple of weeks, then a half of the dose for a couple of weeks, and then work your way up to the full dose. You'll have a much better experience, especially if concurrently you're taking a pharmaceutical, and you got to educate yourself about what taking too much of that drug feels like, because once the nutrients kick in, that stuff might start happening, and then you just go to your attending medical doctor, and they'll look at your blood work and do a physical exam, and they'll reduce the dose of the drug. And that's the goal here, right, is to take less and less of the managerial drug and more of the nutraceuticals, which are attempting to fix the problem.
So we start with the foundation of the Healthy Body Start Pack, the 90 essential nutrients, and then you were specifically going to address thyroid on top of that. What do folks do then?
3 things. So there's a product called Ocean's Gold, which is really, it's an underused product because it's almost as specific for thyroid. And, you know, it's a percentage of the population that has thyroid issues, not everybody. But the Ocean's Gold has, number one, it has iodine in it. Mm-hmm. And it has a proprietary blend of sea vegetables, things like kelp and bladderwrack and dulse and sea cucumber. And these sea vegetables concentrate minerals and have been proven to be clinically have a positive effect on the thyroid function, right? So why wouldn't we do that? It's just a smart thing to do. So it's called Ocean's Gold, 1 bottle a month, 1 cap twice a day. I'm not really concerned about your body weight. Maybe if you're over 300 pounds, you would need more, right? Under 100 pounds, need 1 capsule a day. But that's how we do it. The Ocean's Gold. Selenium, of course, right? Because thyroid needs selenium. Mm-hmm. 1 bottle of Ultimate Selenium. But the jewel in this crown is a botanical medicine formula called hypothalamus support.
Yeah, I take that, actually.
Hypothalamus support is, I could talk for 30 minutes just off the top of my head about why that's so important and why it's so good. But remember, initially at the beginning of this, we were talking about it's not just the thyroid, but it's the thyroid, it's the pituitary, and it's the hypothalamus. Right? All of these parts of the body work together in order to keep everything running smoothly. And one of the biggest negative effects on these 3, on this pathway in the body, it's called the the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest stressors to this system in the body is stress. Like stress. You're stressed out about your job. You're stressed out about your finances. You're stressed out about your relationship. You're stressed out about everything. You're stressed out about politics. Everybody's stressed out about politics now, and rightly so.
Right.
But stress has, it's like the straws that broke the camel's back. And one of the first parts of the body that's negatively affected just by the stress of life is this hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis.
Mm-hmm.
So the hypothalamus support is a very sophisticated botanical medicine combination of different herbs, the intention of which is to strengthen the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis. It's kind of like putting on a down coat and mittens and boots when you go outside in freezing cold weather. What's a smart thing to do? It's going to protect yourself against that stress. This is just whether or not you have a thyroid condition, just because we live in a stressful
mm-hmm.
world
mm-hmm.
right now,
mm-hmm.
I think once a quarter, for 2-3 months, once a year, get a couple bottles of the hypothalamus support and do it. And so, the dose for that for an adult is per bottle 4 milliliters a day. So I would, if you're going to do a little in-house experiment like this, I would get 2 bottles. I would do 4 milliliters twice a day for a couple of months, because that's just smart.
Peter, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. Folks can find your books, Everybody is Sick and I Know Why, An Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine, at Amazon. We have our entire series at davejanda.com, as well as operationfreedomhealth.com. The products we have discussed and information on the products we've discussed are all there. You can print out information on it. You just dial it up on the screen, and you can print the screen. And again, we thank you, Peter, for everything, again, that you have done, are doing, and will do. And until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Thank you for joining us today, folks. Thank you, Peter. And thanks for your time today, folks. See you next time.